Welcome back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
And remember, our goal is always to guide you to personal and financial wellness.
All right, we're working on the Don and Gino show. Gino can't stop. That's right, but we can't stop having these great shows. We've been doing for 9 years. Why not? Because we get great content. We get great education. Actually, Gino and I get educated as much as we educate you because we have these great guests like Rob Schwartz with Premier College Guide. He's been on our show probably 36 times with some of the best topics in educating you on guiding you to basically finding out the best colleges, how to get your child through college, what are your options, and that's the best part, is Rob enlightens us all the time on options. And today, it's about updates, because every year changes, and we have the UC updates today, right, Rob?
We sure do. So every single year, the University of California, or the UC, has a series of conferences for counselors like me that provide us kind of an update on what's going on, what should we be aware of, are there any changes to their approach. And I have a lot of different notes, but this is kind of a short segment, so I'm going to focus on kind of the bad news, because you need to know. You need to be an informed consumer. Those are the exact terms I use for my families. You need to be an informed consumer, so you need to know what you're up against when it comes to, if you're going to apply to a University of California school, what does the admission even look like these days? It is not what I remembered as a UCLA student back in the 90s. You know, dinosaurs walked the face of the earth. When I applied to UCLA, I was a mediocre student. I got in, and it came as a surprise to me. Now, 0% chance. There is no way I would get into, frankly.
Not even with your good looks?
No, definitely not with my good looks. Yeah, they didn't take trolls back then. I would be hard-pressed to find an opportunity within the UC system that wasn't Merced that would be interested in me now. I mean, that's UCLA to Merced, right? That's a pretty big difference.
But now, is that bad? I mean, it's because it's incredibly competitive. It's because our students are more educated than ever. It's because they're coming out of high school well prepared. They're more mature. They're more so. You could say that this is actually not bad news.
From a certain perspective, but it's also, we're in the most populous state in the union. The other 49 states are jelly. They want their kids to go and live in the sunshine for a few years and not have to deal with, sweeping snow. The programs have excellent academic reputations.
Show that he's from California.
I am from California. Sweeping snow, shoveling, sweeping, shoveling.
Have you ever held a broom before at all?
Yes, of course.
Rigging in back in the Midwest and back, these are like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Hey, but today you can get one of those really cool heated blow torch things and
that's what you
melt it all the way. I would totally do that.
That's frightening.
Yeah, it's like a garden blower. It's a giant blow dryer.
For those of you with flamethrowers, good luck. For everyone else, sweep, shovel,
whatever.
Ignore it and hit it with the car, whatever makes you happy. But I also want to make sure that I'm giving you fair and updated data. So let me just kind of run through my list. I am using my own notes from the College Knowledge Quarterly. Again, it's free. Help yourself do it. UC Berkeley actually had an improvement in their admission numbers. They were close to 17%. However, when we look at the GPA figures, they're still pretty astoundingly high. Somewhere between a 4.15 and a 4.3 GPA represented the middle 50% of the admitted population. UC Davis, their admission numbers held fairly constant, around 39%.
Now that's a specialty school, right? They do veterinary. It's one of the few schools that has veterinarians.
They are known for their veterinary program, but it's veterinary science from a research perspective, less a practical perspective. So again, you want to make sure that if you're thinking about going into veterinary practice, is Davis the right fit for you?
You know why I would go there?
No.
Yeah, that's where you learn to make wine.
That's true. They have one of the few viticulture and enology programs in the country. I stand corrected.
It's just that you'd know better.
Yeah, I should have. So UC Davis, middle 50% for their SAT score, 1260 to 1480. It's out of 1600. GPA 4.0 to 4.26. Irvine has had a precipitous drop.
At 4. I thought it ended at 4.
Yeah, sadly. UC Irvine had a precipitous drop in admission. They're now down to 26%. They're almost a highly selective college, which came as a big surprise to me. Their SAT score is very much in line with Davis, 1270 to 1490. GPA in line with Davis, 4.0 to 4.25. Now, the thing you should be asking yourself is, wait a second. You just quoted basically identical GPAs and identical test scores, and yet Davis admitted 39% and Irvine 26%. How can that be?
Location.
Location.
And location. Usually there's three of those. They go together. Location.
It's simpler than that. It's math. It's pure math. More people applied to Irvine than Davis. Plain and simple.
Again, location.
And this is something that I think families really need to think very carefully about, that it's not just the data points, but it's understanding how many people want that spot. There are other schools that have very similar grades and very similar test scores that have 50 and 60% admission numbers. Why? The math dictates that. Location. Okay, sure.
Well, I mean, look at Merced. It's probably,
Merced is
different.
different.
It's probably not a bad school.
No, it's in Merced. That's its problem. Let's
Sorry,
not kid
Merced.
ourselves. Sorry, Merced.
You guys
But who are we kidding?
great ski boats, by the way.
Merced is one of the fastest rising schools in the nation, and it's the smallest UC school. So you do get that attention that you won't get at other UC schools. So there are good reasons to consider
Less
Merced.
expensive, too.
Slightly. Certainly cost of living in Merced is cheaper than it would be in Irvine or LA or almost anywhere else.
Right.
So there are compelling reasons to consider the school, but the fact is you live in Merced for 4 years, and if that's not your bag, sorry, you shouldn't pick
If
it.
you're there to get an education, here you go.
Boy,
Yeah.
that is a far cry from the last show that we did with you when you were offering Italy and Greece, and now we're talking about Merced. This is depressing.
Hey, look, you take the good, you take the bad, and then you have the facts of life. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah. The point you have choices.
There's tons of choices, but recognize that the numbers themselves don't necessarily equate to yes or no decisions. I mean, how many times have I had a family, literally, no joke, no exaggeration, walk up to me, not even say hello, and say, hey, my son's got a 4.3 GPA and a 1380 SAT. Can you get into fill-in-the-blank school? Like, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. But if you take a look at how admission decisions are actually made, you'll come to find that those numbers aren't as telling as they used to be. Certainly not in the UC system where it's a hyper-competitive environment. You have to be a little bit deeper in your thinking.
Yeah, would you say that that's just a barrier of entry? That's just a necessary prerequisite to even apply, really?
You're setting expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Right.
gotta have proper expectations.
Right.
So when a parent, it's usually the parent talking to you, in other words, basically saying, what are my chances of my child getting into this school? Here's your chances.
Here's your chances.
You have
Yeah.
very specific numbers to help with. So that if the 16%, and they're on the low end of the scale, go, hey, we need to look at other options just in case, because look at your options here. You have a 16%, probably your child, because of their GPA or this or that, maybe down to 10% or 5%. Let's look at other options.
Precisely.
Now, I know that this number can vary for every individual, but how many schools should someone apply to make sure that they have some backup, a little bit of depth, and at least just to have their mind open to, hey, these are the 4 schools I like, but these 2 are the ones I really want, but I got to apply to more than just the 2, because what if I don't get accepted?
The easy answer is if you're applying to fewer than 5, I want to know why. If you're applying to more than 15, I want to know why. You realize how much money and how much time and how many essays and how many apps you're going to have to write to deal with those schools. You're going to pick one. Do you really need to do this? Typically, the happy medium is somewhere between there, but every single student is different. I had a student a couple of years ago who applied to 3 schools, and his list was totally fine based on what he asked for. He applied to, and he was a good student.
You're about to say he had to be top of the charts.
No, he was good. He was good. He wasn't amazing. He was good, and he knows who he is if he's watching. He applied to UCLA, he applied to UC Irvine, and he applied to the University of Nevada, Reno. And I said, okay, given your circumstances, here's what's likely going to happen. I said, you got about a 40% chance of getting into UCLA, and if you're admitted, family's upper middle income, I said you're going to get no help. It's going to be full price. I said, Irvine, you're probably looking at about a 60% chance of getting in, and if you're admitted, you'll get no money. I said, Nevada, Reno is going to get your application. They're going to froth at the mouth. They're then going to admit you immediately. They're then going to drive a truck to your house full of gold bullion. And of course, that's not true. I'm exaggerating. But the student did receive a presidential scholarship, And the cost for the UC schools in the year that he was applying would have been about $37,000 for the first year. At Nevada Reno, for the exact same student, exact same grades, same test score, same income, $17,500.
I bet you I know where the parents, suggested.
All of us suggested, but not for necessarily the same reasons you would think. Yes, there's the financial component, and the way that translated was, hey, you're saving $20,000 a year. Times 4 is $80,000. That's grad school. Grad school is paid for now. This
awesome.
is a student who's going to leave graduate school and go, no loans. Great. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
That's thinking ahead.
That's brilliant.
But you might have a gambling problem.
But here's where it gets interesting. So you'd think this is still a really tough decision. It's certainly a UCLA versus a Reno. Like, come on. Was it really a tough decision at all? I would tell you no. Reno was an easy choice. Why? You still have the Division I rah-rah sports. You have half the population, so you can actually get smaller classes and get done in a relatively short amount of time. The students major, strong at Reno. The number of buildings and programs that were brand new or built within a year of his attending, a third of that school was rebuilt. It was all pristine, brand new materials. You weren't getting that at the UCs. They didn't have a lot of new material. They still do constant construction, but it's a building here and a building there and a new dorm here. A third of this campus was brand spanking new.
Well, I think I told you when I went to Arizona, and all of a sudden I saw what ASU looked like. I was like, man, this is a great school, other than it's 132 degrees out.
Yes.
But it was beautiful, and everything looked great and brand new, and there was definitely a sense of community, and it was awesome.
And there's a river.
And, yeah, that's where we were.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Dragon boating. We bring it all back to dragon boating.
Why else would I go to Arizona?
That's a good
Tempe,
point.
Arizona. For all that.
Baseball?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Spring training.
Spring training.
Yeah.
It's good
Exactly.
times.
We've been
Great
there.
fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me come back to the list. I don't want to get too far off topic here. UCLA, their admission rate was about 12%. That's down slightly from last year. The bad news is they were over-enrolled last year, which means they accepted a few too many students who accepted the UCLA offer of admission, and so they have fewer seats this year. So I'm expecting that number to maybe trickle into the 11s. UC Merced, admission rate actually crept up to 72%. Hey, 72%! God bless America.
No, just Merced.
Just Merced. Test score range 1020 to 1280, and the GPA 3.45 to 4.0.
Yeah. So this is the UC school for the average Joe.
Yes, it is. UC Riverside, 57%.
Probably learn a lot about growing food and agriculture and stuff like that.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Get a lot of culture.
Yeah.
UC Riverside, 57% admission, 1140 to 1380 SAT, GPA 3.7 to 4.1. Still very competitive for what is considered the 8th UC school.
Well, it's also still Los Angeles adjacent, so you're not
Yes,
out
it
in the
is.
boonies.
You are not, you're in the 909.
But you could
No
technically,
offense to my friends in the 909.
you
but
could technically drive there every day from a better area code. No? LA traffic.
UC San Diego, 32% admission rate, 1240 to 1450 SAT, GPA range 4.03 to 4.28.
Boy, did that
Damn.
Again, very, very
Such
competitive.
a cool
change
place to
from
live.
20 years ago.
San Diego, you either love it or you hate it, to be honest. It's La Jolla. It's not San Diego State. It's
even better.
upper middle class. It's quiet. It's a dry campus. It's not.
I'm out.
It's not what you think of when you think
San Diego State.
the next school, for instance, UC Santa Barbara. When you say San Diego and Santa Barbara, you think they're the same school. Santa Barbara's party hardy.
Yeah.
You're also talking about Isla Vista, the most densely populated square mile in the United States of America during the school year,
Oh.
versus San Diego, La Jolla. Not the same thing. Santa Barbara is on the rise. Their admission percentage is down to 30%. Test scores, 1,300 to 1,500. 4.28 to 4.4 GPA.
Wow.
Damn.
Santa Cruz, 51% admission, 1,220 to 1,420, 3.76 to 4.16 GPA.
That could be a cool choice. Santa Cruz is a nice place.
It's okay.
Santa Cruz is an interesting place. It's got a very different vibe than many of the other schools.
Dennis's some say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got probably a little hippie feel to it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it is. It is. Very.
As
Shoes optional.
I tell my students, if you're Star Wars fans, have you ever been to Endor? Well, you have now.
I mean, that school is amazing. It's actually very spread out. You have literally, you drive through trees to go from one side of the campus to another area. So it's beautiful. It's actually gorgeous.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just even within the UC system, and we're joking about it, but you can tell there's a cultural difference to each one of these schools, and that's why it's important that you find a really good fit for who you are, who you want to be, or who you think you want to be, and find
That's why you need
a college guide.
A college guide, premier college guide, Mr. Rob Schwartz, to help guide you because you understand these schools, the options, what they are, what you're looking for, what questions to ask, all that good stuff. That's why we love you on the show, Rob.
That's why I love being here.
Yeah, you're good at your job too.
I try. I try.
And you know publish information that's valuable to both your students, the parents, and those who want what's it called?
The CKQ.
College Knowledge Quarterly.
That's it. CKQ.
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 It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. It says what it is, though.
It does. It's look.
College
It's fair.
Knowledge
It's
Quarterly.
fair and it's honest. Just like me, I'm fair and I'm honest.
That's true.
If you come to me and you say, "Look, give me the honest appraisal," I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you your kid's probably not going to get into this school, or I think you're a slam dunk at this school. But I'm always going to tell you the truth.
And
You
you're gonna
deserve
give
that,
them options.
and I'm always going to give you options.
And enlighten them on items and options and places and costs, things you did not know. You've enlightened us a ton, Rob, and you have again today. Thank you very much for being part of our show, Rob.
Gentlemen, a pleasure as
How do they
always.
get a hold of you, sir?
Rob at premiercollegeguide.com or 818-359-3779.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks
Thanks,
for
guys.
coming on the show. And you can find out more by going to donandgino.com and find lots of shows with Rob on our YouTube channel.
Make sure, you subscribe to our YouTube channel. A lot of great information. Thank you for being part of our show.